Cage Minds, Micah Frankel at Duke City MMA / Sandoval Fight Systems inside of the Rough Riders Barbell Club ahead of Fight World MMA 27, November 26th. We got a whole cast of characters here in-house for open mats today, including Santa Fe's own Korey Windham ahead of his professional debut. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good. I mean, about 2 weeks out. You know, it's been a long but short fight camp. You know, I mean, those 8 weeks, once you start going, they just fly. I mean, like I look back, like just even yesterday, me and Jerome were talking a little bit, and it's just like, it feels like I just started camp, and now it's like towards the end of it. So it's just feeling good, feeling ready. You know, almost getting to that peak, being ready for fight night, and yeah, just excited.
How much different is camp now that it's ahead of the pro fight?
I mean, not really much different. I mean, the only difference mainly is just like doing longer rounds. Like whenever we're doing like shark tanks or we're doing like circles and all that, the rounds are longer. But I mean, all the way to like the very first amateur fight that like fell through, I've been trying to like emulate like the pro camps, like the Jess and like Jerome. I've been trying to like kind of just follow along and just kind of get myself ready for like that next level, even though I wasn't like fighting pro yet. So I mean, it's just kind of, now that I'm doing the actual pro camp, it's just another day, you know, nothing like too crazy. I don't feel like a fish out of water. It's just another fight camp.
How do you look back on the journey as an amateur? It was long, but it was short. Not many fights, but it was a good couple years. You make the debut as an amateur. COVID's not too long after. How do you categorize your journey as an amateur?
Honestly, it was weird. It was kind of a weird one because, I mean, we were kind of talking about it a little earlier. It's just like when I first got into this fight game, I was like, oh, it's a fight. Like, everyone's going to want to fight. I'll be getting fights left and right, you know. And then when I finally got to it, it's just like I kind of started seeing the reality where it's just like fights could fall through, opponents get hurt, they have to pull out, things could happen day of weigh-ins to where it's just like the fight has to be like scrapped or anything like that. So it's been an adjustment for sure, because I mean with wrestling it's like tournaments every weekend, duels every week, so it's just like I was competing like 8 to 9 matches a week sometimes, and now it's like going to where it's like fighting once every couple of months. It's a little frustrating, but at the same time I kind of appreciate it because it does give my body a little bit more time to like recover. You know, definitely when I had fully finished like my last wrestling season, I was starting to feel the mileage on the body, and that was a little rough. So I mean, it takes a lot of patience now waiting like in between fights. You know, I hope now that I'm on the pro side I could definitely get a lot more active. I want to be a lot more active, but at the same time I've come to appreciate downtime a lot more, just for the sake of like recovery and just for the sake of like avoiding being burnt out and stuff like that.
You're smiling, you're excited. Does it feel like, well, it's the same journey, that it's a new chapter jumping from amateurs to pros?
Yeah, I mean, I try to like not put like too much weight on it, because I think that's probably the biggest mistake I made jumping from like high school to college wrestling. Was like, end of the day it's still wrestling, but I saw it as like college wrestling. Now we're like in like the big leagues, so to speak. So I'm trying to avoid that this time, to where it's just another fight. You know, this one does have a lot more weight, but at the end of the day it's still another fight. So I don't want to like overstress it, overthink it. Just going into it, just, you know, same mentality as I went into it as an amateur. You know, definitely a lot wiser, a lot more like conscious of like what could be going on in there, but it's fight at the end of the day, so it's try to just keep that same mentality throughout.
From Santa Fe to Adams State on the wrestling mat, what made you then transition to taking on the sport of MMA?
Honestly, I kind of fell in love with it just out of the blue. Like, I just went and watched, not in person, but I just went and watched a couple fights on TV, and then kind of got into that. And then obviously like the old UFC video games where you had like all the Pride and stuff. Like Mirko Cro Cop was my guide, where I was just like, damn, this stuff's kind of cool. But I didn't think I'd ever like see myself doing it. And then, you know, longtime partners with Jess, he started fighting like the end of his senior year in high school, and I was just kind of watching it, and I'm like, this actually could be like reality. But then even still, I was more like kind of just zoned in on the wrestling. And then once wrestling finally came to an end, I was decided to give it a try. And then I just kind of told myself, if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, I tried it at least. So it was kind of a passion turned reality, I guess you could say.
Yeah, did you expect it for you and this sport to meld so well together and for you to get so passionate about another sport?
I mean, I definitely knew I was going to get passionate about it just because, I mean, ever since I was a kid, no matter what sport it was, whether it was like something random like tennis or anything like that, it's just once I got into it, I just kind of felt like that urge to just like, I want to progress, I want to learn, I want to like make my best attempt at being like the best possible. So it's just always, once I find that passion, I'm just like kind of encapsulated by fully going for it, you know what I mean? Not just kind of like playing around with it and just kind of like half-assing it, for a lack of better words. But I definitely knew, like, once I committed to it, I was gonna like it. I already liked it from the start, but once I started learning it, I started loving it. So
the team has had the confidence to give you the green light to look for the pro fights. Do you feel like you have a grip on who you are inside of that cage?
yeah, definitely. I mean, like I was saying, just going back to a few questions ago, it's just I'm a competitor at heart. No matter the sport, no matter the arena, you know, size of crowd, whatever. I just like to compete, and this is just kind of another area for me to compete in. I mean, it's a lot more serious. It's definitely the most serious sport I've done, just because of like the potential for injury, you know, getting knocked out, getting choked out. But at that same time, that danger element just kind of makes it a little bit more fun for me. I'm just a little twisted in the head like that, but I like that kind of stuff.
Coming up, we've talked about it. You are going to be making the professional debut. Not a lot of ring time, cage time as an amateur. Do you feel that is an advantage, that you're bringing stuff in that the opponents can't prepare for because, well, they haven't seen you really. They don't know what your full arsenal looks like.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an advantage as long as I'm smart about it. You know, the last fight I kind of went in with like kind of similar arsenal. It's definitely not as like refined as it is now, not as clean, but it's a lot similar stuff. I like to strike. You know, I always have like the wrestling in my back pocket, but I want to be like that all-around fighter to where it's just like if it goes to the ground, I could throw out my jits. If it needs to stay on the feet, I want to make it fun and stay on the feet. I can stay on the feet and be comfortable. So I mean, it's definitely, I do feel like I have like a bit of that wild card element, but at the same time, it's just I kind of fell into like the stereotype of the wrestler that doesn't like to wrestle that much and just likes to try to throw hands. But it's always there, so.
Falling in love with that striking. Talking about that, what kind of fight should we be expecting to see? What are you envisioning on the 26th?
Definitely a lot more action. You know, last time I was a little upset with myself because it's just like I tried to like push that pace and push the action, but I did it in like a not so smart way to where it's just like I saw red the whole time without setting up anything to see red. You know, I just wanted that knockout. I wanted like that highlight finish without doing the work inside of that cage to get the highlight finish. So this time I'm definitely going to try to be a lot more technical. You know, if it stays on the feet, it stays on the feet. I'm going to make it a little bit of a scrap. Definitely want that finish though. So whether it's sub, whether it's TKO, I'm going for the finish this time, and I'm going to go for it with a little bit of a smarter tactic than the last fight.